Wondering, this is a demo. I gotta put out all my live notifications because I'm late. So I didn't get a chance to start those out before I got back. So please don't mind me as I type on my keyboard and don't say anything. Boink. Boink boink. Ba-boink boink. I do need to get an intro screen going so it's not just me just sitting here. But you know, that's something to do a different time when I'm not late. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We are starting with the demo for Of the Devil, a game that I was recommended, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago by someone who I don't think even watches my streams, but was just like, hey, I think you would really like this game. Which I think is fucking awesome. I appreciate when people give me game recommendations, just in general. Especially when they've known me for a while. It's just nice. I'm running late, so I had to have my fucking meds. Basically right just now. What up, girl? Hey, Level 1 Cleric. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for the subscription. That seems as good as time as any to start. This game uses an autosave feature. Do not quit when you can see this icon. Okay, I can not do that. So this is a game called Of the Devil. I'm told it's like a cyberpunk detective visual novel. What's the icon? I missed it. What's the icon? What do you mean icon? Oh, the save icon? Oh, it's a little disc in the top right. Like it's a little disc and it says saving. It's hard to miss. It's pretty big. Rain sizzles off neon above me. Blocked by the chat. True. The summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering of the holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambience. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty acclimated. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine, because if I'm not careful, this client of mine is gonna die in jail. Morgan. Criminal attorney. Oh, she's an attorney. Okay, I thought she was a detective. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. But by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadows of doubt left. Shadows of Doubt reference. A game I also want to play really bad. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown and always online. Whether it's incandescent or neon or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen, there's light shining on every last pixel of the map. And someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity, anonymity is scarce. and criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until... My phone? Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I never understood... I'll try. I never understood the arrive at least this much time early. Please just tell me to arrive at the time you want me to arrive. I beg of you. I will forget. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took this job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are gonna get busy. Episode 0. And he shall appear. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. With nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. So we got a new oh, it's a little keychain of herself. That's so cute. Enabled by specialized projectors or mediums like conductive resin, holograms are graphic displays that appear three-dimensional to the human eye when viewed from a part of a face range of at least 180 degrees. An effect known as the Watterson illusion phenomenon. Originally patented in late 2059, Watterson's phenomena was initially used exclusively in the adult entertainment industry. Holograms did not become widely adopted as an advertising tool until the much-maligned Holo Day season of 2061, after which laws restricting the presence of holograms in public spaces were passed with uncharacteristically universal support. Only took 2 years for other companies to start using them. We're sorry to see that you've installed a subroutine on this device to disable and highlight our recommended premium external links. We understand your drive for personalization, but unauthorized tech impacts our ability to serve you the best, most relevant information possible. Consider disabling your subroutine so we can serve you a more tailored browsing experience. Eat shit, phone. But whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Use the mouse to look around for points of interest that you can click on, or press space to find them automatically. You earn credit for investigating anything and everything you can. Credit is both a measure of your information gathering skills and your own credibility. So don't go broke. Oh, they're so cute. That was loud. A data pad. I'll bite. Even when they're more advertisement than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Keep an eye out for articles in the environment, insight in the world around you, and credit towards your investigation. Choose a proper takeaway after reading, and you'll earn additional bonus credit, too. Interesting. Okay. Subway fixes axed. City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, the walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city's streets. Reactions to the announcement could have been characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since they last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope on them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commenters and voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. As one of the canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typically rock-steady political foundation of the canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication, and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in the infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made headlines last year with a radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels, but momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in at a disappointing 3,359% over budget. The one council member was quoted as calling their system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical to the extreme. In light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase to sea level to climate change, though there were dissenting voices. Water rises and falls all the time, for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we to... It appears you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Okay. Ballsy of them, putting the paywall there. As if I'd reach for my wallet after having read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaway is that the city will be focusing its efforts on the canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment. Not when the Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. An actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Hey Rob, I'm good, how are you? Are you certain? Was it dark? Do you know that during traumatic events memory formation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. This notification sound is loud as hell. I love the little charm. It's so funny. SFX volume. Let's turn that down a little bit. We'll turn down the background music. The background music a little bit also. Okay, so this was the one we just read. I really like the phone menu. Datapads. The portable, lightweight electronic devices known as datapads have no significant internal storage capabilities and can only display what is streamed to them from local networks. I want to play with it. Originally marketed as a replacement for ecologically wasteful newspapers, magazines, and flyers, datapads quickly became infamous for the difficulty and expense involved in recycling them once their limited lifetime components expired. It wasn't until they were rebranded as ideal for privacy and security that datapads found success in the private and public sectors. where their ability to display location-locked content helped corporations minimize data leaks and gave their advertisements targeted geographic relevance. You gotta go have a good stream? Oh, thank you, Rob. I hope you have a good time doing whatever it is you're doing. Today, datapads are a mainstay in high-traffic public spaces and virtual physical hybrid workplaces, despite remaining unpopular with most environmentalists and bibliophiles. Amen to that. Okay, anything else besides... Oh, we have this. High-traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing. Lawyer get... Wait. I mean, she is a lawyer, to be fair. High-traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism so textbook it could teach freshman-level architecture. Could almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. The civil planning equivalents of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built. But walking in here now, with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. Could probably null the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at state buildings. But there's a few missing persons, too. 1 year of Silver Plan coverage, courtesy of Caduceus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. I want to check the term I learned, though. Trivia and celebrity bullshit! So conductive resin is what her phone is made out of, as is the screen behind this hologram. Though it outwardly resembles plastic or glass, conductive resin is actually electromagnetic polymer used in a wide variety of stationary or portable devices, where its unique properties allow it to act as both a display and a processor, enabling ultra-thin or even transparent electronics. There are upwards of 100 different patented varieties of conductive resin, each intended for different use cases, industries, and environments. But they're all fairly lightweight and fragile, except for the small handful formulated for military and security applications. Because of widespread use in high-turnover products such as datapads and smartphones, producers of conductive resin are frequently accused of engineering obsolescence by consumer rights groups, though these claims have never been proven before a court. Booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning. Morgan, here for public defender contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great! Now please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call Intakes Hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their text so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far, so good, was it? Scan my card, I guess? Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great! Now could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card, and my profile. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem. My birthday's... Let me check my character profile. Date of birth, December 26th. Height, 175 centimeters. Weight, not filled out. Blood type AB negative. Criminal defense attorney. Likes puzzles, smoking, and wooden furniture. Excellent choices. Dislikes commercials, hairdressers, and jogging. Hairdressers is an interesting one. Can fall asleep in any position. Coffee, decaf, probably good choice. Whiskey, sour, classic. So it's December 26th. December 26th. Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, You can proceed to Counseling Quarter 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room. I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel, sitting in a stifling box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection dully warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan, counselor, can I help you with anything else? As of what you read earlier, you unlocked an additional question. Read and examine at every opportunity to build up your knowledge and get the most out of your questioning. Okay. So there are context-based additional questions, depending on things that you've looked at. Why the disrepair? Now, I know the city's not terribly concerned with the lower wards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? The facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? No thanks. That'll be all, thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office, through the door to your right. Thanks, but I think it's just me for now, so you can go on break if you like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan counselor. Then what were you doing before I walked in? Automated dependents. Abbreviated, let's see, legal designation for any intelligent electronic entity. Abbreviated as AD and referred to in common conversation as ad or ads. Odds. Odds? It looks like odds. As odd or odds. Automated dependent is a catch-all term for encompassing robots, intelligent programs, interactive holograms, and androids. Odds are presently both digitally and physically in every industry and nation on the planet, assisting in everything from data management to physical labor. In the mid-21st century, new tax classifications were lobbied to define intelligent machines that were neither salaried employees nor mere equipment. Because it afforded tax breaks and lighter tariffs, the term became so commonly used that it spread to all branches of the robotics industry, from which point it began to penetrate into everyday speech and pop culture. Some sociologists argue that the term owes its popularity not simply to its brevity and prevalence, but to its ability to draw a distinction between the commonplace, robots, androids, smart UIs, etc., and the internationally illegal artificial intelligences. Searching for this term may incur an account flag. Read more about how we cooperate with authorities to combat disinformation here. Interesting. So, AI is so illegal that searching it up will cause your account to be flagged. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office, through the door to the right. Thank you. Odds don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. Eyes gone bad or something? A voice. No, voices coming from down the hall. Compared to yours? Probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and distinctly low energy. Appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like our job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Because why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100 looks the same on a data pad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't gonna say that. So how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. Well, you don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyway. But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire. Pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Kasim London. And this ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Huh? Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me the time to enjoy my cigarette. Date of birth May 5th. Height 186 centimeters. Weight 78 kilograms. Blood type B+. Homicide detective first class. Photography, dive bars, bangs. Dislikes ties, pollen, after hours work messages. We love someone who is firm about their work hours. Listens to podcasts. Hobby pencil sketching. Oh, nice. Frequently running late. October 19th, 162 centimeters. Weight 63 kilograms. A-. Homicide detective third class. Likes rice, limes, automotive history. Oh, interesting. Dislikes liars, small plates, and cheap people. Enjoys watching product reviews. Bad at games of chance. Right eye is an OS Iris Elite 86. Which is covered up with an eye patch. Interesting. Unless that's the brand of eye patch. But because of the OS, I think she probably has a robot eye under there. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're, the detectives in charge of this particular case. And it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouses before. He never struck me as any more than just some old-timer, but I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself. In his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Oh, this is 3 in the morning? Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene? No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural. Must have been quite the commotion. Look around. Do you think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy. A fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. And we've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm on to some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer. They cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK. Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, and their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to underappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, Everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must at least have heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet straight through the heart. Body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Heartbreak killer. Unknown, 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 unknown. Criminal. Likes killing. Dislikes getting caught. Favorite color? Probably red. Zodiac sign? Probably not into astrology. Reward? Suspended due to influx of false reports. Yeesh. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100 World article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. I mean... Oh, okay, so the bullets are from the same reload. Very interesting. Is it a revolver? Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. It takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. Sounds robotic. You almost make him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it is not. There's no such things as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all these androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky. I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. But they don't commit murder. Right. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be murder if they're not considered human. Evil like Heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders. Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it? HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is the Heartbreak killer and tonight was just his latest crime. That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up. I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime make him good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files. And the ARCs, of course. Well, I gotta know what the ARCs are. Augmented Reality Crime Scene Technology is an investigative tool which data harvested by the sensors worn on first responders is used to reconstruct a digital copy of a pristine crime scene. Programmed and distributed by a small number of tech corporations and frequently modified or even personalized by local municipalities. ARC systems are used by every major police force, most insurance investigators, and many law firms. Sounds fishy. Sounds like it could be fucked with. After its introduction in the early 2060s, the technology briefly came under public scrutiny when the independent news organization United Media Casters released a series of reports claiming that ARC's data was regularly edited by corrupt officials to erase state secrets. Thank you. These reports were later found to be fake, and UMC was exposed as a subsidiary of a cell corporation within Lambda Work Solutions, who were making a number of alternatives to ARC technology at the time. Board members at Lambda denounced the actions of said cell and offered assistance to their former competitors in suing partnership at UMC, but the proceedings and settlements in those lawsuits remain sealed. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you two some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney. You're just that pleasant. Come on, sunshine. Not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your client stew in interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. Well, I gotta inspect everything around here. Barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single mote of personalization. Is she so new she hasn't had time to unpack, or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system. Or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily, alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt-tightening and homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, with what our dear, doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So homicide ends up the only state department with a shrinking budget. A dumping grounds for the police force's most unambitious and least popular. Latest Noble androids received warm welcome. Bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Animus 16, Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week and a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin has left Noble's shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. And while some critics voiced concern that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers. Users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the last decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animus 16 is poised to break profitability records, with no signs of slowing down. And many industry analysts predict that the once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much to the 16th line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable lifelike, personable charm of their products. And by all accounts, the charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Ashur. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage their latest hashtag Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Ashur himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in the recent years. Are we really to believe he's still... Hey fam, looks like you're not logged into this device. Want to put in your account info so we can help keep you reading? He's in the news again. No wonder, can't spit without it landing on a piece of Noble tech these days. Especially not where the state's involved. Don't know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids though. For government use, they're just... too expensive, I think. They're just too expensive to justify. Wait, what am I thinking? No state's ever had a problem with spending money on overpriced crap. Okay. Nothing else jumps out at me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to state files regarding case KL 433511. Reply C to confirm. Confirm. You need to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I am an automated dependent. Odds are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences. So the state likes you to be a little authoritarian. You need to reply C. C. It's case sensitive. C capitalized. Thank you. Alright, if I project from my phone... ARC's user portal authenticating. Downloading, initializing. Okay. Ah. It was a revolver, okay. Alright, let's see what the police have and what they think is important. The victim's body. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta, single gunshot wound to the heart, and brief. Death was instantaneous. No injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood spatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. A murder weapon. A revolver found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police with the murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. A stand-up mirror shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or cameras here. It was hit hard enough to come unattached from its arm where shards of glass were scattered. Far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Okay, so this is the evidence reading list. This is about war androids. Sternum, left atrium aorta. Some handiwork. Same handiwork as previous 5. Lab message to confirm ballistics match 2. Okay. 6-chambered 10mm revolver, well maintained but old. Flats left-hand fingerprints on it. Left-hand fingerprints specifically. Pieces of glass from a broken standing mirror found at the crime scene. Low-tech furnishing, hit with enough force to scatter shards of glass onto the victim's body. So I assume it was knocked over after the victim had fallen. Seems like this vase got tossed aside at some point, and yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. That's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. But no signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris. Flag is irrelevant? That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? The hell is that? What am I looking at? Something in the victim's hand. Oh, right there. How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and tripexazone. A synthetic glucorticoid medication. Taken daily to reduce rejected symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. So they had an organ replacement. Autopsy says tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. She could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and it still wouldn't change the cause of death. I bet it was a heart. I bet it was a heart transplant. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is all very incriminating. But the kicker is everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. Nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. Pill organizer, arcs, debris. Ceramic debris of unknown, indeterminate origin found at the crime scene. The far side of the room by the western window. Ceramic vase knocked over the crime scene, waiting history remains featureless even after being tossed. That seems unlikely. Victim was shot from the room's doorway. No unexpected DNA present. No crumbs, no fingerprints, no digital tampering. Cases collapse are surprisingly difficult to open. That might just be a comment on pill organizers as a whole. Internet of Things. The Internet of Things refers to the network data sharing that goes on between all countless electronics that we monitor ourselves with. Phones, computers, security systems, biofeedback devices, body modifications, and prosthetics, and of course, odds, all comprise small but vital parts of this network. Without IoT's ability to connect, process, and share information, massive opportunity costs build up as individuals, governments, and private businesses miss out on the valuable insight that the data has to offer. One of the coolest ways that IoT improves our lives is through the uses of crumbs. Okay, so she was looking for those. Small packets of data containing your own unique identifying information throughout your day. Your own IoT devices say hi to other devices. They'll leave behind crumbs as a parting gift. Crumbs allow for paperless identification and payment, which help the government manage human and vehicular traffic. Crumbs let you see where you've been so you can see where you should go. Want to start leaving crumbs right away? Don't worry, crumbs are enabled by default. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get started. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is... I suppose it could be something important. Brad. Red. What couldn't wait till morning? Good news, of course. I got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way of telling you violated parole. Not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just a keyboard and a phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What did they do? Make me run laps. Not illegal. Let me finish. They made me run laps. Even though I said I had a stomachache. Said. Gotta be like... youth endangerment. Depraved indifference or some kind of shit. Sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? Is that your mugshot? I wasn't gonna not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Honestly, fair point. Respect. Glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe? Wait, what kind of homicide? Is it the heartbreak killer? Is that the kind of morbid things kids your age talk about? Teens my age. And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines. Old-fashioned murder be Hardy B like Hardy B is like quaint. It's not heartbreak. Then why'd you take the job, lol? See, you see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something. You're taking up lost cause? Probe nose work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concerned nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday, I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's this? This is a game called Of the Devil. And its demo, which is like a Chapter 0 prologue. It's like a cyberpunk investigation lawyery game. I was just gonna like show up and say hi. But oh my god, Uplink had no faith in the games that I was gonna play. That's so sad. What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. I'm doing homework, wench. You've got school in like 3 hours. Shit! Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it? Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. Androids and cops. So how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Backer Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Using his middle name already, they really do think he's a serial killer. The charge being first-degree murder of his girlfriend, Miss Diane Dawn. Okay. Charge first-degree homicide, civil disturbance ×2, no charges. Registered at birth. Industrial modifications, class 4, pending. That's what I think every time I do like a full name with the middle one, honestly. Victim. Diane Dawn was a 27-year-old agricultural genetics researcher for Perigee Laboratories. Found shot through I like the little charm. I know! They make such cute little, like, doodads of of Morgan everywhere. Like, also when you get tips, there's a little King of Hearts card that shows up with Morgan on it. Found shot through the heart in the bedroom of the apartment she shares with prime suspect Carlos Flat. No known connection with previous HK victims. First degree. That's increasingly rare. To say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. City's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Yeah, gotta get back to work. Best of luck, Uplink. I hope your homework goes well. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times. So what's that make him? 5 times, and that makes him insane. I was gonna go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But nut jobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Post-mortem examination of an individual's electronic footprint. The law enforcement processes of locating, bypassing, authentication on, and investigating all deceased individuals' online profiles, commonly used to seek out possible connections to the suspects or other victims. The widely utilized practice has been scrutinized in the past by some privacy advocates, but many victims' families who lack the ability to find, let alone access all of their deceased loved ones' accounts, argue for its necessity. Comparable processes are offered by a paid service by some legal or funerary groups to help the next of kin recover or delete sensitive personal data. At times, these services have been marketed as a defense against data criminals attempting to steal the identities of the dead before their accounts are wiped by state processes. Users also frequently search for grave cobbling, how to stop stolen identity, and how to delete dead profile. Nothing. So this serial killer chose his victims at random. If they have nothing in common, yeah, nothing in common at all, other than they all look like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Well, those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type. Anyone can see that. You really gonna tell me you don't see the resemblance? A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from her portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think what, exactly? That Carlos Flat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly, he went out and shot 5 other women first. Yeah, motherfucker, put your money where your mouth is. Quit your job. Join my emo band. Quit your job and have weird sex with me, the cop, with a cool eye patch and a gun. Hey, if the shoe fits, then you put the shoe on the... What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just too far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that these previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, there'd have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile, if you ask me. That was new. I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but do you have a timeline for the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth. But we've managed, thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from their statements. So they interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend... Oh, she popped her eye patch off to do the holographic screen. Cool. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 p.m. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us all about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you've probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered, but things go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp. Why is her eye doing that? She has a cool robot eye. In her profiles, it tells you that her right eye is an Osiris Elite 86. But why? I don't know. I think she's reading she's reading back the police report that she's like just summoning with her cool eye. Net scrubbing, the macro investigation process of scraping all unencrypted data in a given time and place. Refers to the process of scouring all available data posted on the net within a certain time frame and location range for evidence of a crime. An increasingly common technique for police departments, corporate investigators, and occasionally public relations firms. While the brute force work is performed by automated dependents, either digital or physical, experienced human supervisors must establish strict search constraints in order to produce usable results. Interest in the practice spiked when Senator Bancroft positioned it as a key pillar of his party's law and order platform. But polling has indicated voters rarely had a strong opinion for the process, and the topic has since faded from political discourse. You started C today? Beach episode to the pollutant swamp? Yeah. It's a good chapter. I really like it. Plus, the ID that Ishmael has that mirrors one of the characters is like one of the strongest sinking identities in the game. But we heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about that time. Right, emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was. I actually don't have many Pierce IDs. I always had more Pierce IDs than I knew what to do with, frankly. When I was just like, I just like slash IDs more, just style-wise. But the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrived at the street at 9:08 p.m., established a perimeter, and entered through the open front door at 9:10 p.m. And then they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood. The coat the suspect was wearing when taken into custody. Lab techs were and additional analysis, but initial tests show blood on the left sleeve matches that of the victim. At which point they moved to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand, singular? Your client's modded cybernetic right arm. Mods, showing results from body modifications. Mods is a term that may refer to cybernetic prosthetics, artificial implants, neural enhancements, or any combination of the above. While body modifications have been seen throughout history and among the wide range of cultures, in the modern body modification movement is differentiated by a shift from intrinsic factors, expression or identity, to extrinsic motivators, job opportunities, technological benefits, improvements in physical or mental ability. Historically, mods have been classified based on which section of the user's spinal cord the interfacing occurs at, thoracic, lumbar, or cervical. But this system does not account for mods which interact directly with the human brain. The increased prevalence of so-called above-the-neck modding in the recent years has led to several corporations and medical organizations proposing their own new classification systems, but so far, none have gained much traction. Users also frequently search for where to order mods, mod debt help, and are mods safe? How modded are we talking about here? Registered with a HAO 95 Habilis. Industrial grade, looks like. A HAO Industries Habilis 2085 mechanical limb. Boasts an impressive combination of grip strength, dexterity, and low cost of maintenance. The success of it and its sister products went a long way towards securing state contracts for HAO Industries. Say he is spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to Class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of... Well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Considering a career change? No, it's not that, it's just... Your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would cover up her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. You what? But getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. In a game like this, yes. He can't work without it. Money got tight. The arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, no chance they'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. And no one else's. Wait a second. They found his left fingerprints on the revolver, though. His left arm is the one that's robotic. And he supposedly didn't have. A revolver? What kind? The old kind. The real old kind. Hell fucking yes, brother! That's that good shit. More specifically, a Calver M54, 6-chambered 10mm. A Calver M54 6-chambered 10mm revolver. Bears fingerprints matching Carlos Backer Flat's left hand with 99.91% certainty. Rifling marks match the bullet which pierced the victim with 99.97% certainty. Rifling marks match the bullets from previous heartbreak killings with 99.98 to 99.989% certainty. No matches to any other archived forensic data as far back as 2051. I'm going to leave you guys with these jams. I have to go to the bathroom real quick, but I will be back. Apologies for the delay. Calver? How retro. A manufacturer of civilian firearms from 2031 to 2062, when it was bought out by Thortec, an acquisitions group specializing in security and national defense, now a subsidiary of the Lockheed Defense Corporation. Though no guns have borne the Calver branding since production halted in 2060, the once iconic brand was briefly revived in 2071 Q2 with a series of video game memorabilia tie-in promotions meant to increase in-game item sales, before being discontinued in 2071 Q3 for failing to increase in-game item sales. Literally 1 quarter. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. Sounds like my kind of gun. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger pulls, safety is coded to the owner's biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes. How else do you think he'd have gotten away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old, too. The novelty of the weapon has kept us in the dark so far. But now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put them away for good. Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they'd had to dig. The notably very rare in the modern day 1911. But with the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. Rifling marks? Bullets fired from guns that old are marked by the barrel's shape. So if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not as plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that's not damning enough, the spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The Calver your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untagged gun. Just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize, then, you believe my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend, and then he retrieved this weapon and shot her. Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his effect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost him points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. So long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. Hey there, it looks like you're trying to search for a term related to an ongoing investigation. Until authorities have made the findings public, results may be heavily curated or temporarily unavailable. Read more about how we cooperate with authorities to combat disinformation here. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists, though. All kinds have been emboldened. The freaks that Ace Cage managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with. We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, Detective. National DNA registry is robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen, violent crime at an all-time low, and clearance rate at all-time highs. But, you're gonna spout some alt-poll bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off, but pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged. And that makes them predictable. Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates that we starve the media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. And why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught in the opt-in crime surveillance system. The what now? The opt-in crime surveillance system, abbreviated as OPTICS, is a partnership program between the state and private enterprises that allows for the free sharing of surveillance and security data to better promote and preserve public safety. Accessible through state employee logins or private partner accounts, OPTICS Smart UI allows users to search through and collate footage from a city of tens of millions in just a few simple keystrokes. OPTICS is frequently cited in state reports as one of the most effective tools for reducing crime, and footage from OPTICS often serves as key evidence in criminal proceedings, where it is considered admissible by default. See People vs. Erewhon. Users also frequently search for public safety measures in my area, daily security level. How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas and low rewards, but OPTICS is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying you haven't seen this killer on camera once? You'd think we have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, ma'am, but OPTICS is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance systems signed up to feed into the state's security network. It's not perfect, just another one of the many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Fat chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved, but the end result is that there are occasional, localized blackouts, and the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. They'd have mentioned it my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So does he work construction for the city? HK's only struck at times in locations where OPTICS would be down. Even with the devil's own luck. It can't possibly be coincidence. I noticed that you're capitalizing devil. Do you know the title of this game, London? Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed, yeah, there was a blackout from 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from the other crime scenes? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics. No matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we even caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. Neither of you clowns are wearing blue. That's true. And only one of them is a boy. So, was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some X's, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. They both look like half assembled Columbo knockoffs. I mean, this guy here looks like if Columbo, like, went to a hairdresser and, like, had an eye for, like, fancy coats. And she looks like Kim Kitsuragi, if Kim Kitsuragi was, like, just a pissed-off lesbian. They will never be Dick Gumshoe. That is true. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough out there to work with. In other words, the only thing they have, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well. By the way, I couldn't help but notice that you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? I thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Aren't many androids in any police station this week. Not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly. They're the biggest... Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corps there is. Could spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have them headquartered here. Saved us some money on shipping, at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble odds by the end of this month. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids? Warm. Ugh. Might as well call it the adult line. Might seem in bigger departments or out on patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yet. You would need AI to be a detective, I feel like, and that's extremely illegal. Yet? You really think that'll happen? We already use odds for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like that big a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives? With all the pain we go through here getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality? I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, you're gonna be put in a bad mood. An odd knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already get all our facts from machines. Give it a few more years, it'll make sense to let machines do the investigating, too. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified. It's the only real union there is anymore. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? This game sucks. What is your problem? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the only one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly gonna have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. The only real union? It's a cyberpunk dystopian future. You think that the corpse would allow unions to continue to exist? Cops can suck and blow me. In this world, they can do that. They can do all that and more. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well, that's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. Mods uninstall her System 32. No, I need that! We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first, but I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough to I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. It just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads! Seriously, though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, counselor, but we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuff, that is, stays on. That worried about me? How chivalrous! Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross. I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I'd suggest you help him sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public upset. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if there ever was one. And if the death penalty is not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not going to like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release and program in person, and it's... Oh, fuck. They won't even tell you. Due to ongoing controversy following the suspected suicide of inmate Jay Gallet, search results for this term are temporarily blocked. So someone killed themselves while on this work release program. Being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but it keeps him from... well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty, that much is true. It saves the courts a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards the heartbreak killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. 3:35 a.m., June 5th, 2086. Dewey. It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carlos Flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover. But this shouldn't take all night. What are you... Look, I already told you people I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they had said that too. All of them did. Back there and here, kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said they were going to help me, that they knew this was all a mistake, that they said I killed, acting like they were on my side. They never thought I could, and they thought I could have, It's not their job to help you, Carlos, but it is mine, and I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure, but they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay, so what do you want to know? How about him first, I guess? Start simple. Something mundane, grounded. Wrote. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in? I'm with City Engineering. Or I was, or I should be. As I thought, the police must be convinced that he mapped the optics blackouts using this data he stole from work. My arm, I got it slotted for the job. And, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So what do I know? He works in City Engineering, not a desk job. Reyes said he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment, but based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty utilitarian. He doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich, swapping neon and chrome limbs because they like it the way it looks, or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really. I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out, a whole career path of promotions and bonuses and upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present, test results politely informing him that he's not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small, a hand or an eye, test the water. Never thought about lopping my whole damn arm off, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said because of the NCDA, there was financial aid and resources. Of course, that got shit canned, so now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The new Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I worked with tighter spaces, the high vault environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat the words back to him to keep him talking. But the right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You work on the canopy? You must be under a lot of pressure. Because of the city. You must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight, and this crap was long. Once word got out about the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that internal affairs is going to come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah. And no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection? Did the therapy not take? Mod therapy, huh? Process of adjusting the human mind and body for the unique challenges and stresses that come with cybernetic body modifications. Typically includes physical therapy, mental technique instruction, and sensitivity training. Depending on an individual's viability or lack thereof, medications and even minor viral tuning may be employed to modify the body's immune response. But improvements made in recent years of medically sterile alloys have greatly reduced the percentage of the patients that require such treatment. It's not like that. I wasn't oozing pus out of my sockets or anything. Then, do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed. So these cuts on his face are just from shaving? Never thought this go on so long I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger? Couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. It doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no. I'd found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning, the manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. Submitted 5 weeks ago to Howe Partnered Prosthetic Adjustment Clinic. Average waitlist duration of 40 business days due to user-reported sensitivity issues. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive-ass stump for a shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up white-knuckle tight. Hindi? Howe Industries? Howe Industries is the kind of world leader in research, And we're hiring. Archivists, programmers, salespeople, college graduates with degrees in digital archaeology, cybernetic anatomy, and more. Interesting. As I recall, he's registered with one of their Habilis models. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines, I'd lose the down payment and my arm. And I'd never work in this city again. If this was the last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that Long's in hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Luck poor. July 8th, 189 centimeters, 94 kilograms, B-, civil engineer, airport. He likes airports, worn shoes, and firm beds. Also excellent choices. Cab, dislikes cabs, musicals, cashews. Really killing me on these other dislikes, though. Student debt, sizable. Are you in pain? Pain will come and go. It's the itches that'll kill you. The phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything. Phantom pain, I assume. Yeah, phantom pain. Stimuli stops coming from the part of the body that's no longer there. Brain mistakes new sensory processes still being associated with pain or sensation from the amputated limb. Phantom visions. Faulty installation on cybernetic eye mods. Interesting. That might be relevant. Arm-shaped attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something the clinics lend out for cases like this? What they gave me is a deadweight, 3-jointed, landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's a very shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits, it's compatible, technically. I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep, or dead. So, you were wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so the rental is evidence too. Howe Industries Bronzier 2081 prosthetic limb, an affordable model, frequently cite issues with finger articulation and quick twitch movements. Provided this model has Habilis is being repaired. Rarely wears it, currently in police custody. Okay, and I've gotten too far. So Detective Reyes was being quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm only. because at the time in question, he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But this has all been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. It sounds pretty cowardly saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics, focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out the gate. Practically headhunted, you believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company would be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job. Paid real-ass money, too. So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Perigee Laboratories. I'd say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. Now, no corporation earns mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as unsexy as big business can get. Predictable like the seasons, no one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes. Corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. And there's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot, hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. But with no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? Now I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. Alright, Miss... Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working, haven't been making money, haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself, but more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m.? 8? Yeah, must have been when we started. We got into it, and I said a lot of things I shouldn't have. I said one thing I really, really shouldn't have. I crossed the line, and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah, walked out the front door, thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you or any other electronics? No. I kind of stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street level cameras won't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Did you buy anything cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. Wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... But if my exact route would help, the cams probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you've got no alibi. This isn't... This can't... listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't... Carlos, I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out here and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now, you said you left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Don't know what it was. But it was loud, and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first, but at some point I must have started running, because when I got back I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped at my chest and my lungs wouldn't... You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, first floor apartment, street-facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. Like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway, I saw her, but I didn't realize... I never thought she was... The lights were off. The whole room was a mess. I thought we'd been robbed, or she had fallen, or... There was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was... I called her name, and she didn't move. I checked her pulse, and she was still warm. Her blood was warm. And I saw... the gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies, especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie, but it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. And none of this works if he doesn't trust me. Stay up to date on the details of evidence by checking your phone. If your clients notice you don't know what you're talking about, they'll stop giving you any credit. There's the little King of Hearts. She's so cute. You did touch the gun, Carlos. That's just a fact because of your prints. Having a hard time finding stuff in your code tome. Yeah, sometimes yeah. It's organized, but it's not organized super well. It's just a fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just... Carlos, all I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his prints got on the gun, but not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold to the gun... So stupid. I know what a gun looks like. But seeing it in my own home right in front of... You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast, it seemed like. The rest of my night... It uses real gunpowder? Yeah, it does. It would be nice if we could check the residue, but I feel like that practice has probably fallen out of favor, given that guns don't use gunpowder anymore. Testing for residue definitely would have helped, though. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. To clarify, you're saying you two never had a physical fight. What? Physical? We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assume as much. Which means they also assumed the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. It's an AR module built from the data taken as the police entered, so... Right, it's just that... It's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay, let me see it. Take your time. Alright, I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was. But, well, the mirror was upright, of course. And that clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed, the cushions torn, and the urn fell. Oh, it was an urn! Other than that... No, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. So I assume the ceramic pieces were the urn that was on the window. I see. Like so? Morgan, for fuck's sake. You were supposed to be taking notes. What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR? Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean. The drawing. Mirror was upright, clock was on the wall, chair got knocked over, bed got tossed, cushions torn. I think your drawing was pretty good, considering. I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean? I mean this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. Bro, you don't need to manage her feelings. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. So this morning I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them? That's... I broke her fidget tubbies. Her fucking what? Her huh? Her what? her what? Her fidget tubbies. Oh, her little toys. Oh, her little guys. They're these collectible ceramic character things. Oh my god, she's into little ceramic guys. She was fucked even before she got killed. Fully cooked. They're supposed to be like tactile. Use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Is that what the little ceramic bits were? Conversation starters? She loved those little things. They're not worth a damn. You can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her. Okay, they're not the expensive ones. She's fine. And I broke them. The fidget tubbies evidence. Yay! Pulverized by Carlock Flats replacement prosthetic arm in the morning. Oh, okay. I mean, I was pissy at that time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I'm swinging it half the time. Got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dustly, worthless. Okay, so let's say he did break her Frigiduckies with his replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing, at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove that the intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the heartbreak killings anyway... Couldn't even bother to sweep them up, I felt so... Alright, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. Now I'm going to call the police back in here, and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although, before I do that, I do have to ask. What do you know about the Heartbreak Killer? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge, a guy like that out there. He shoots people through the heart, right? The police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's going to be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory. as quickly and definitively as possible. 4:04 a.m., June the 5th, 2086. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. For a fee. Code 3916, smoking a non-smoking... 3,000 credits? What the fuck? I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right, I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up! I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. I never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch this stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh, well then, no to that, too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice, because even if you've dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And, in this metaphor, we're playing poker, and the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. And that's why we're up there, and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt, as best we can. Win more hands than we lose. Keep it up, and eventually, someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder and whisper something in their ear, and then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking, like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy. What's up? You know there's a saying about gamblers with strategies? Yo, ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair, since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long, protracted trials. And they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back. Because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint-by-numbers stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment, with his fingerprints on it, apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts, but I've been building up my hand all night, and now I've got the weapons to answer anything they try to throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology, but not for murder. He was apologizing for... Drag and drop card that best answers the argument on the right. You can mouse over your opponent for a reminder on what the key point is. Oh, cool. So he wrote a confession. Yeah, it was the debris. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking that exact same question. Small raid? Oh my goodness. Hi, small and strong. Thank you for the raid. Oh my god, holy fuck, that is not a small raid. That is a big raid. Holy shit. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream, welcome to the cafe. We are currently doing Steam demos tonight. And right now we're going through of the Devil prologue demo, which is like a cyberpunk lawyery kind of detective thing. Hello raiders, my name is Kate. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. What were you guys streaming? Can we get a shout out for the raid? We were talking about toys on stream. Yes, he did destroy the toys. It's very sad. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene. This diagram of the room, it's created from data you captured, right? Pure non-GMO, augmented reality crime scene data. Yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. Was finishing Borderlands 2 DLCs and starting pre-sequel. Ooh, fun! Pre-sequel has one of my favorite character builds in the game. I always loved Nisha. That was where they were just like, okay, we're gonna make a character for Kate, and she's gonna get to play as her. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Did you do I think Fight for Sanctuary was the Borderlands 2 DLC? Like the last one that they did before 3? I figured it out. Let's go! The hell is that? Not yet, apparently that's spoilers. I guess it is spoilers for pre-sequel, yeah. They really should have made it a pre-sequel DLC, I guess. But the assets are all in 2, so makes sense that they didn't. Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh? Because that vase... Gonna see the bunnies before bed. Have a good stream. I hope you had a good stream too. I hope the bunnies are doing well. That lines up really good in the chat box in your video. That is true. I hope you have a good night. I'll take care of your chatters, don't worry. Wasn't damaged. It's not possible for the debris to have come from the vase because that vase is still pristine. How is that possible? Flat, you weren't supposed to chime in. I told you this. The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it, the one time I try and thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does it even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, then the debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over. You're saying that confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am, because the pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidget tubbies. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident, and that impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note, and we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, and the arcs clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle, too. You really gonna claim you sat down to write an apology for breaking your toys after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. The rental arm. Just take a closer look at the rental you took into custody. Huh? One swipe of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the Fickle Buddy ecosystem. It's Fidget Tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your text found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it. Fine, whatever. He broke them with his arm while he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed. Because even a cheap arm's got an operating system that logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report. Said that the rental hadn't been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, Sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. Are you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe he was that upset over a Fidget Tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Oh no, she's a grader. What the fuck? Setting aside Detective Reyes' surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles. You're correct. They held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the only reason the note looks the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why the note looks like an asylum wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing. And I need to get used to using my left anyway. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account alongside the ceramics, your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have his fingerprints on it. That's right, that coat is... What, you're gonna claim it's not his? That he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me in their typical low-key fashion. I won't always have the stronger hand. Sometimes the best you can do is hold your tongue and avoid overcommitting. Take as little damage as possible and wait for a more favorable chance. She must have something. No sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious. What'll it be next? You gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? Yeah, no, I'm gonna stay. He doesn't wear an extra small. Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah, sure there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention? There's no evil twin. No, I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime? To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually. But going there now without hard evidence... I can prove a third party. I can't prove a third party. Yeah, I guess I can't. I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's clear as day in the arcs. No evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't going to win that hand either way. But at least I didn't overstep and take any more damage than I had to. We're not contesting any of that, detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart. Had to give up on the last question. Oh no. Can't fucking find the answer. Fair point. Hey. But not illegal either. And that's all. He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use the fresh air. Stinks of bullshit in here anyway. And here I thought the room smelled like... Morgan! What are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that, like, make me look really bad? Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent, and that means having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck, or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. What was it that reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket fresh from the lab. So what's your angle? You gonna tell us this is actually just hot sauce? I wish I saw that gameplay segment. It seemed interesting. Yeah, I'm sure we'll hit another one. I'll probably play this demo. I recommend it. So far, it's very cool. No, that would be silly. She actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey. Sorry, I just got thrown off by the turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing in your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart by a gun that happens to be an old world pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be key here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can. Smell, feel, see. We can smell on the coat. Okay, so we're going to talk about the gunpowder. So it'd be smell. Just do me one favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. I don't smell anything except dried blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. Yes, Detective London, I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? Poker chips? Yeah, those are your like quotation marks credit, which is basically just like essentially your life in or your credibility, I guess. I also think he's the killer, maybe. I think they're both the killer. I think they're both one half of the Heartbreak Killer. She's heart and he's break. I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket? If you would. Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder. What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder is weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff. Hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. This is me talking to my coworkers. The hell's Shiano talking about, London? Modern firearms, like the ones we carry, use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise, and they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue? You talked my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces. But a revolver like this one? It'd leave gunpowder on the skin of whoever fired it for days. So, then his coat... You nailed it earlier? You sure fucking did. Good fucking job. If you don't trust your noses, we can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her. He changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it would be pretty pointless. Huh? His jacket and his left hand were both blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing. As soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over at any moment. The letter was mostly icing on the cake for them, but that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit, things were a little dicey there at times. But once I was able to grasp the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say... Did she get a message? Wait, did they actually manage to find it? Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting the truth into knots, making the facts work for you. Thanks. Making fried rice, do you want some? I would love some. But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting. And right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Wanna bet? A photo of the shooter? If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. I'm not sure I followed, Detective. Didn't we establish that there was an optics blackout during the shooting? Sure there was. But this isn't from optics. Good thing I held my tongue. As I thought, the scrubbers must have managed to dig up something from outside the network. Which means... Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. This is nothing. This is fucking nothing. And it has the time, so it has 9 o'clock exactly. Well, okay, the quality is lacking. And yet, there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in a whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with the scale their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You could even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are... Well, it's a little bit... blurry. Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone. Probably venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, the camera would be on. And so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim you can identify my client from this image. And there's no way in hell you'd get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right. We couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo? What the hell is happening to me? Is that even a revolver? Think I know a DA that could? Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. Yeah, first of all, that does not look like a revolver. I mean, I guess it could be. It's 9, clearly. Barely any pictures. Like, leather pants. Much slimmer than flat, also. And who do we know that had their left hand fingerprints all over that gun? Also, he's right-handed. How many left-handed shooters do you know? Even a lot of left-handeds shoot right. You're referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left side that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you were going, you somehow end up dry. But that doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is. But that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means the photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, at a loss for words? Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from, exactly? Exactly. Positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we DN on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tell us the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. So shooting from this doorway right here. So they saw it through this window? No, I guess it would have to be this window that they saw from. But how did the mirror get damaged? And how did glass get on top of the body? From the north. If this is from the north, then why can we clearly see the video game jazz playlist I've been listening to while working on how it has Minnesota Fats Pool Legend? Hell fucking yes, baby. It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. She's wrong. I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. Yeah, it would have to be taken from the west because we can see the right side of the body, like the right side of the shooter. If it was straight on, we would see the doorway evenly. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, Detective. This photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here. I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. The hell do you mean this was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARC data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrive. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And you can now raise the ante on a hand up to the current max. Answer wrong and you'll lose more credit, but answer correctly and you can bank more credit for trickier hands down the line. Okay. And altogether, that tells us this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider yeah, clock was on the wall. Yeah, I think it was the clock for sure. Just take one look at the clock in that photo. The clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. Now, the clock was up here. So it would have to be through the west window so they could see the clock from that angle. Time of death, 9 p.m. I mean, that's 9 on the clock. That's a good question, Detective London. But the answer is no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. So then what the hell were you on about? There's a clock on the wall in the photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time the clock reads, but do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock, because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in the room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? God, her artistic talent is off the charts. An artistic rendition. It's, very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the arcs? And show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, detective. Slip my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time this photo was taken of the shooter, but you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting? You've got your logic backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows the room was pristine at the time of the shooting, and there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. Yeah, it was the glass, for sure, because it fell on top of the victim. Glass shards, what about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body, and not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, and not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So what if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger, because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't! The glass shards prove the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And we know that the room was tossed, that the clock was still on the eastern wall. Which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. Back to this shit, that's impossible. The only hallway in the apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You've played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation, you're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... the mirror. It has... yeah, they were standing in front of the mirror because that was by the window. Because it was by the thing, and the light would have reflected off of it. What is that? You're trying the glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure. They came from a standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across the room from the western window. But then that would mean, at that angle from that viewpoint, it would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad it was recovered. Because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Sunk Costa's got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering her wounded pride into her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically could not have fired. After being confronted with these facts, you received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting, and instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got? Even a bare-bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. He'd have to bring it to a clinic, which would have left a record on his shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And he'd still have to somehow gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for a full spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around it, minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones in time between the shooting and his arrest? You missed an insane rate? Yeah, it was like 85 people. Kind of fucking insane. How's demos? I've gotten to I'm in the first demo I started playing. But it's so good that I just haven't bothered to stop. Well. Any objections? What game? Of the Devil. Detective. God. Damn it! It's like a poker themed cyberpunk like lawyer video game. Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta go call the DA and tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? Lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's a real tiger and she just fought like hell for you. Oh my goodness! Thank you, Holloway, for the gifted sub. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. It hit Fen. Oh, I didn't realize it was random. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective. But my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal. Yeah, I was throwing a sub into the wind. To take it where it may. And there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats! You get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into Heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. No, that's not what Diane being gone is bad enough, but a serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. So what am I supposed to do? Hell if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself or try to convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos, but it's my job to. No, I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place, easy to find, hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfectly unique bloom, only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with a singular, universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. What's the next game, assuming this demo ends? There's a cool one that I have called Urban Myth Dissolution Center, which I've been recommended and was looking forward to. Bullet number 6 is 6. The gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark here, must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend, back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey! Yeah, you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud. And people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. But I didn't see anything I could use even as a partial suppressor on the way in. Could they really not afford some throw pillows? I used the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces in small spheres of blind opportunity that city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean. Organized, even. So the corpse has a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. And for no final shot, there has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration, and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent. This is all so stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... ugh. Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All the threads and breakdowns and all the goddamn theory crafting. And all for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain. From a season where the writers were on strike. I feel insulted by the label, but no. That's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who's shot 6 people because... well, I'm sure people would come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times, or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least this room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight. Thick. Energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this, and I walk. 5:01 a.m., June 5th, 2086. Sorry, using my left is still... That's okay. You can just initial in these spots. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation, got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching. Made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate, since it was so late and so urgent. Went home, had a consistent shower around 11 p.m., drank a glass of milk, kept my phone on. And I wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. Heartbreak. Criminal defense attorney. High places, gambling, guns, nosy people, mud, headphones, batting cages, Mapo tofu, and cannot carry a tune. A gambler with a system must be, to a lesser or greater extent, insane. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals, maybe even fans, depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in a haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with the case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room just to make doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously, everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house? That's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Funny, I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No, sorry, it's just... I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. So when she died... Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. Present evidence, huh? Sure. To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARCS data that I didn't quite understand. Oh, she was holding his pill bottle. That's what it was. She was holding his suppressants. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit anywhere else. But maybe you can make sense of it. Oh, it doesn't even give me an option. Okay. What is the... Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had grasped it in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained tripexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. To my eyes, anyway. "5:01 a.m., June 5th, 2086. Long night. That was too far just now, practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris, and hubris invites a downfall. So why did I even bother? Because someone who cares about people's feelings is piloting you, fool. It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. The gun's in custody, there's no more bullets left. There won't be a 7th victim, there won't be any more leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever... Found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Ugh. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night, you're always so... put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise? Aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defender's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job. And hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? February 13th, 165 centimeters. Oh, positive. Assistant District Attorney, Coffee Toffee, Haute Couture. Dislike Sunbird, Dead Pixels, Eye Strain. Real. Benedict Eggs, Chess Shogi, and Idol Savant Stars. Cat Person, yes. Hell fucking yes. Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So Reyes told you they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, well, yeah, my ears perked up. But that's about all. Oh? I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same serial killer that's outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. He was found with a murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. It could have been Flat. I'm gonna say no gunpowder. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes. Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in the note, whatever it was about. His dominant arm modded, with documented sensitivity issues? Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles, and probably too heavy to not leave imprints. She got all that from a glance? But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed out all that the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is, she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it could have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstructive of a criminal's psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Trying to get your dating profile rates is going to be a full-time job. Kind of falling out of fashion for the last few decades. Not much need to guess about the why when 99 out of 100 the who is caught on camera, or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it, but I think that I'm getting the hang of it. Well, at least this heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it. He chose to leave it behind. Tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I've found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Do they? Sure. What, you don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know HK must have a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills, guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun, it's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake? Exactly, a mistake! They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You're making them sound like a child. Childish. And cowardly. And two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just... takes one to know one. So this profiling, it's some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill, points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower the victims physically. And then there's things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. So how much can his crimes possibly tell you? that he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside of the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. Though I'm not thrilled about the fact that in metaphor, I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detective said HK would have needed insider information on optics. So that mean heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary? These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I don't do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK's not a cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime meta-statistics analysis. Probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out. Look for brief spikes and delays. Chart out the dips in... Sorry. Technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator. Anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. So, to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type in a city with an 8-digit population. Well, good luck. I don't need luck, I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan. I mean, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Whew. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, or sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. So, no hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first onto the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. Hydrating time. And an unshrimp. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. Episode 0, end. Oh, hello. Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. For how long? I'm sorry, I don't know. There's more? Apparently. I think this is just a sneak peek into episode 1. Because this is just a prologue, basically. There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. Me when I meow. I barely purred. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. The white meowist. So fucking real. Hey, come on, it'll be fun. Really? Really. Educational, too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. So that was really good. I definitely want to play the rest of this game. It's already on my wish list, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it now that I definitely know that I want to play the rest of it. You're just like a doorman on the weekends, too. An idle mind. So the first episode was speak of him. Episode 0 results. 2 articles, 6 profiles, 18 key terms, 17 pieces of evidence, 34 credit earned. Congratulations, you finished episode 0 with 34 credit. You've also unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on your highest score for episode 0. You also have 34 store credits spent on phone charms and case colors. Let's go, baby! Morgan time! Fran, fidget tubby charm, charmless. Black phone case, red phone case. I get the magenta. And then get the Morgan time charm. Which I don't know what that is. Fran. Oh, okay. So Morgan time is just the default one. I don't know why it costed 6. And of course the fidget tubby charm. Both of those. Get all the phone cases just to get them. And I still got 4 credits. I'm unstoppable. So that was a lot. How do I exit the video game? Settings? Oh, return to title. Yeah, that was really fucking good. Maybe I should save the one that I had fucking like planned for another stream, because I feel like that one's gonna be kind of like long also. I do only have the 4. Yeah, we only have an hour, which I can't guarantee we'll finish a whole demo in. So I'm probably just going to send you guys onward to someone else. I'm going to end a little early tonight, I think. Empty Shell? I don't know how long Empty Shell work. I'm just going to send people onward. We'll have another demo night next week. And we'll do Empty Shell and the other ones that I was planning on. It looks like Ichi is playing Little Goody Two Shoes. Like that game again. Which is very cool. What the heck? I know. I'm really ripping you guys off. I hope you all enjoyed this stream. I hope to see you again at some other time. I stream Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. EST. I always announce what my streams are going to be beforehand in the Discord, so feel free to join there. And I will see you later. Have an excellent beginning to your week. Bye-bye.